So in this video, I wanted to just chat to you about something that's happened recently, actually, in the last couple of years. So about 2.5 years ago, I suddenly started getting really a lot of tenderness in my right breast, and it was kind of concerning, as I knew that on my father's side of the family, breast cancer had literally gone through the entire female gene of the family. And I also knew that my dad also carries the BRCA2 gene as well. So I was quite nervous and concerned that I was experiencing this pain. And so I went to get it checked with a doctor. She wasn't overly happy with what she was feeling and the symptoms that I said I was having, which is, again, lots of tenderness, really quite painful. So she rushed through a 2-week appointment with the Royal Marsden Hospital in Sutton, because that was where I was living in Sutton at the time. And I went to see them. They ran all the necessary sort of checks and tests and everything. And unfortunately, it came back that it was clear. I think the only thing that they said that they did see was there was a cyst, which is normal, but there was nothing to be concerned about. So that was good news and definitely a massive weight off my shoulders. At the same time, at the Royal Marsden, they recommended that I speak to the geneticist there about the family history and myself. So yeah, I had an appointment with the geneticist, who was lovely. I think I remember we sat there and we spoke about 45 minutes about Turner syndrome, because she did say that, a lot of the stuff that she does is genetics with cancer and that kind of stuff. So it was actually quite different and to talk about another genetic condition. They also did mention it's quite rare for someone to have two genetic conditions. So she did preempt me that they might want to write up my case as in one of the medical journals, which I said I was completely happy about and happy to support with. So yeah, and again, that followed a load of questions, and it followed a load of chatting to them. And yeah, eventually I decided that it probably is in my best interest to look at getting this test done, which it's nothing invasive. It's just a blood test similar to the karyotype test that you would have for Turner syndrome, and to look at sort of chromosomal makeups and things like that. So it's done from a blood test, so it's fairly fairly easy to do in terms of it's not very invasive. And then about 16 months ago, a letter came through, and it did confirm that I had the familial BRCA2 gene alteration that has been running through on my father's side of the family. When that came through, I was very shocked. As you can imagine, it's probably not something you want to hear. And it did hit me a little bit. Fortunately, my partner, she's amazing, and she basically made me see the pragmatic side of it, that now that I know, and now that they know, they can monitor me, they can catch things earlier if things do happen. I mean, I'm only 32, so it's still very young, and if they do sort of find anything, that hope, fingers crossed and touch wood, they'll find it at an earlier stage, and then we'll be able to treat it. So I went back to the geneticist, and they said that there's a couple of options available for me. One is fairly drastic, in having a mastectomy and having surgery to remove the breasts to prevent this, which, again, I'm only 32, and I was just like, do you know what, that's kind of, at the moment, not an option for me, because I think it's rather drastic for me at the moment. They did say that door's never shut, so if there are issues and I do change my mind, then we can explore that and go through that way. But I opted for the second option, which is the surveillance. So what they'll do is, up until I'm I think it's up until I'm 40, I'm going to have an MRI every year. And then from 40 onwards, I'll have an MRI and a mammogram going forwards, just to make sure that everything's okay and working as it should be and there's nothing untoward happening, which is great because as my partner said, it's that if they do spot anything, it will be at the very early stages. So yeah, I'm currently waiting for my first MRI appointment, which I think should come probably in the new year now, and just to get cracking with that. One thing that did come out of the conversations that I was having with the geneticist was the need for removing of the fallopian tubes / ovaries, because something that is also affected by this alteration is ovarian cancer. And due to being intersex and Turner syndrome, my ovaries didn't form, they were gonads, and they were removed at a very, very young age. So they didn't really need to worry about that, and actually that's less concerning in this respect, the fact that they're not there. But one thing that we weren't quite sure on was whether or not my fallopian tubes were there. And that's something that I couldn't answer, because again, these procedures were done when I was very little. And I wasn't really told anything, so I didn't really know. So I couldn't really help them. I felt quite lost in a way. I did put them in touch with my consultant at the University College London Hospital. So they worked together and did a joined up approach to try and find out. So they were trying to track down my medical records, which again was another issue entirely. It took them ages to try and track these down. Which I guess, in back then, everything was handwritten, everything, it wasn't on computers. There wasn't an online cloud or a filing system. They can't just log in and track it down. They had to do a lot of searching within archives and all this kind of stuff. So that went on for about 6 months. It took quite a while. But they did find it, and they found my records, and they weren't that detailed. They didn't really say anything. They just basically said left gonad removed, right gonad removed. There was nothing else that went with it. So after talking with the gynecology consultant at the University College London Hospital, they then decided that actually, to find out, I just have to have the procedure done, which is called a salpingectomy. Well, actually, I'm going to have a laparoscopy first, which is where they do a few incisions, keyhole surgery, pump you with air, they'll put a camera in to see what's going on, and if they find the fallopian tubes, they will remove them there and then, which is then the salpingectomy. It also gives them an opportunity, again, because my medical records aren't that detailed, and a lot of time has passed since I've had the initial procedures, to actually see what's happening in there and maybe give me a bit more information. So I am a little bit curious in that respect as well, a little bit nervous to find out what potentially they could find there. But it's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be stuff coming from it, which I know I'm going to have to process and deal with. So there will be videos. I am planning on doing a vlog series in the run up to, and during the whole process of having the salpingectomy. I was supposed to have had the procedure done earlier this year. We were aiming for June as the initial thing, but with COVID and everything, I think all the non-essential surgeries were kind of postponed, which made sense. And I was kind of happy for that, because it is something that can wait. I mean, the geneticist at the Royal Marsden basically said they don't do these procedures until someone's like 40. So actually I'm really young for this, but I think it's also because of my other medical conditions that they were like, well, let's just do it, because it's better to be safe than sorry now, which makes sense. So yeah, that's that's gonna happen. So I have been informed recently that obviously things are starting to come back to normal, and especially now that there is a vaccine on the horizon for COVID, I think that, you know, they are looking to sort of get this done. There's a list in January which I think's full because of the backlog from this year, which makes sense. But they said that they'll place me onto a list which will be end of February, beginning of March, which will be, yeah, it's not that far away when you think about it. So yeah, that will be happening in the new year, the start of the year for me. And again, like I said, I will be vlogging and stuff about my whole experience with it. So yeah, watch this space and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date with those vlogs if you're interested. I will create a playlist as well and a video following it, so it'll all be uploaded, and it'll also be on my blog, so I'll put the link below. So yeah, check out the blog as well for updates on that. But since January, where I signed the form for the operation, it has raised a lot of feelings, emotions, again, just myself going into overdrive. It's like what happened to me when I was 25 and I found out about being intersex. It's kind of all come back in a way. I have been speaking with the clinical psychologist attached to my Turner syndrome clinic. She's been amazing in helping me kind of process everything again. It is like having to do it all over again. And there's certain things that have come out. I'm going to vlog about these separately because I think it's too much to kind of include on this video. So I'll put another video up in a few days, and just sort of detailing sort of what I've been going through in my head and the thoughts, feelings, emotions, and how I've kind of been trying to manage with them. So again, yep, subscribe to the YouTube channel. There'll be another video coming up soon, and I will be sharing it across all my social media channels as well, which I'll also put in the description below. But yeah, please feel free to connect and contact me. Comment below if you've got any questions. Again, I'm an open book. I'm happy to sort of chat and talk to you all. But yeah, that's my kind of my BRCA2 gene alteration story. So yeah, watch this space.